You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, and welcome to episode 209 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Well, hello, gang. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Sean. This is my show, the Soul Forge podcast. Welcome to it. If you're new here, congratulations on finding this excellent podcast all about my life, my journey, self-improvement, and my quest to help others and talk about things that people don't talk about. This is episode 209. I was originally going to call it Ed 209 after the robot from the 1987 RoboCop movie, Ed 209, Enforcement Droid 209. However, I'm not going to call it that. I'm going to call it something else. I was thinking about what to talk about if I called it Ed 209. Things that start with ED. Like, for example, in RoboCop, Ed 209, Ed stands for Enforcement Droid. But then I was also thinking, what else does ED stand for? Well, obviously, it's erectile dysfunction. Let's talk about floppy penises. But I didn't think that would be too much fun, so I'm not going to do that. And then I was thinking, let's talk about extra dimensions. But I only know this dimension. I don't know the extra ones. So I can't talk from a place of knowledge. So that's not going to work. And I'm sure there are other ED things I could talk about as well. And I almost had a list written down, but I didn't write it down because sometimes I don't. And then I forget all the different things. So anyway, what are we talking about this week? We're talking about asking and receiving things from the universe, or God, or the great maker, or the great material continuum. You know, just when you ask for something and you hope to get it. Okay, so why are we doing that? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story before I get into the different things. Now, as many of you may or may not know, for the last couple months, I have been planning on this business of mine called Rusted Robot Toys, or Rusted Robot Toy and Hobby Shop. I don't know, I haven't figured that out 100% yet. But what I want to do, and what I've wanted to do for 30 years, is own my own store. And I've been collecting toys and memorabilia and Hallmark ornaments and books and you name it for 30 odd years. So now it's time for me to share all of my things with the world. And how am I going to do that? Well, I'm in the process of purchasing a building, and eventually, once all that works out and the tenant leaves the commercial space, I am going to open up the Rusted Robot Toy and Antique Shop. However, what I did on the weekend was I opened up an Etsy shop. It's kind of like eBay. And Etsy used to be for things that were homemade, like things that you would knit or crochet or craft together. But now you can sell anything on there. And Corey and I were looking at different websites and different hosting things and making our own commercial website thingy to sell the products. And that's fairly expensive, like $30 a month plus whatever. So what we've decided to do in the meantime is open up the Etsy shop, and I've done that. I did that this past weekend. I've already made 2 sales, which is awesome. So if you'd like to check out that store, I believe it's rustedrobottoys.etsy.com. Maybe I will put a link to that store in the show notes if I can find out how to do that, if that's even an option. So anyway, check the show notes and you'll see what links I've put in there. So that's what I did this weekend. It's very time consuming. It takes about 10 minutes to list an item, anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes, because they need so much information. You need to take pictures, you need to write descriptions, you need to say who made the thing that you're selling. So if it's a pop vinyl figure, for example, you got to say it was made by Funko, and then you have to fill out all that information, and then the shipping costs, and then the price of the item, and then you have to put the dimensions of the box that you're going to ship it in, because obviously people want to pick the cheapest shipping option. And what happens is with Etsy, you can have different shipping profiles, I guess is what they call them. And then people select how they want you to ship the item. And you can actually even purchase the shipping label right online. So they give you a discount. You don't have to go to the post office except to drop off the parcel to get it mailed. And since I work at the post office, I can do that after my shift. Just give them the box, they throw it in the bucket, and then it goes off to whoever it's going off to. So the first thing that I sold this weekend was an original Mego Planet of the Apes Cornelius action figure. And I sold it to a guy in the Netherlands, which is really cool because I'm Dutch. I've never been to the Netherlands, but my first sale was to a guy from I don't know if I would call it my home country, but the country of my ancestors. So that's kind of neat. So anyway, what else did I want to talk about Etsy? I guess that's basically it. But another thing that happened on the weekend was actually very exciting, very good. I'll tell you about that right after this vaccine promo.
Welcome to Dr. Geek's Laboratory.
Hello everyone, Dr. Geek here with a shout out to all the scientists who worked tirelessly to bring a COVID-19 vaccine into reality. Let's face it, creating something of this magnitude is a miracle worthy of Dr. McCoy himself. And now, Dr. Geek needs you to do your part. Remember, each shot is one small step back to normal, one giant leap to putting the pandemic behind us. We can do this. For more information, visit vaccines.gov to find your nearest provider.
Okay, you got your vaccine? Are you wearing your mask? Are you doing all the things that they say to do in that little promo? Well, I hope so. Okay, so what happened was I have been scouring Facebook for maybe a couple months looking for stock. Different action figures, antiques, you name it. If it's a good deal, I'm going to get it so I can store it away to be stock when I open up the store. So this guy messages me out of the blue. We're not friends on Facebook, but he messaged me and I saw that I had a message request. And it basically was a message that said, I understand you're in the business of action figures. I've got some that you might be interested in. So I said, yeah, I'm in the business of action figures. I'm always looking for deals. What do you got? And so he sent me a picture of a tote of Ninja Turtle accessories, vehicles and whatnot, and a Spawn action figure. And so he came by after he was done at Walmart, and we took a look. And since I don't know anything about Spawn figures, I didn't pick that up. But he gave me a tote of Ninja Turtle stuff for $10, and I've got probably 65% of the sewer layer playset. I've got a helicopter, a submarine, a pizza throwing tank, a bike, and that's all from the 90s. And from I think 2013, I've got the water tower washout zipline thingy. Most of the stuff is not in great shape. It's not complete, but it's good for parts or people who are trying to fill out a collection with some stuff. So I figured for $10, that's definitely good. I could probably make $100 off that stuff. So that's what happened. That was out of the blue because I've been asking the universe to provide me with all kinds of stock and other things like that. So that's what gave me the idea to do an episode about Ask and You Shall Receive. And so that's what this episode is. I've got 7 different things to talk about when you are asking the universe or the great maker for things. And so I was looking that up, and there's actually a website called askingtheuniverse.com, and you can put in your request on there. There's a little fill in the box and hit submit kind of thing. I haven't done that, but that's something that I thought I'd bring up in case you're interested. It's asking the universe for what you want. And also in my very brief online searching, I was looking up stuff and it said, ask and you shall receive. And I'm like, that sounds familiar. And it's a Bible verse, Luke chapter 11, verse 9 to 13. So I'm not religious. I don't know if you guys and girls out there in podcast land are, but there's a lot of wisdom in the Bible, and I'm just going to read the chapter. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. So it says here, I tell you, ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who seeks finds, and everyone who knocks, the door will be open. Which of you fathers, if your son asks for a fish, would give him a snake instead? Or if he asks for an egg, would you give him a scorpion? So if you, even though you are evil, still know to give good gifts to your children, how much more will the Heavenly Father give the Holy Spirit to those who ask him? So that's just something that I found online. Ask and you'll receive, seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be opened for you. And that's basically how the universe works. That's the secret or the law of attraction. And as you'll recall, about a year and a half ago, I was trying to figure out what I wanted for my love life. And my buddy Renee said, well, just write it all down. Write down what you're asking for. And I thought it was ridiculous. I even did an episode about this a year and a half ago. And so anyway, after a couple of weeks, I wrote down what I wanted. And then I met Julie, and she was everything on the list. So there you go. That's pretty cool. So before we wrap this up with the rules for asking the universe for things, let's play the promo for, I believe it's the Cigar Nerds podcast. If not, it'll be something else. But if it is, there you go. So enjoy.
Howdy, this is Cowboy Jim, and I'm here to talk to you about the Cigar Nerd Podcast. Nothing I like more on the old dusty trail than sitting down and listening to two good old boys who smoke cigars and talk about nerd things like movies and TVs and comic books and all that stuff. So saddle up and ride on over to CigarNerdPodcast.com. They're also on the ESO network. Yeehaw!
All right, so geeky cigar stuff. If you're into it, then you're into it. If you're not, then you're not. But that's okay. So let's get into this website here is called aconsciousrethink.com. And it says here there are 7 steps you absolutely must take whenever you ask the universe for something. So is that true? I don't know. This guy seems to think so, or whoever wrote the article. And he says, we all ask the universe for things. It's not always the conscious process, but through our hopes and dreams, everyone puts in requests in one form or another. And that's true. How many times have you guys said, oh, I wish I had this, or I wish that thing was like this, or this thing was like that, or, whatever. So anyway, it's a great power, and they call it God or the universe or the source or perhaps cosmic energy. I like Great Maker because that's a reference to Babylon 5, my all-time favorite television show from the 90s. Also, one of my other favorite shows from the 90s was Deep Space Nine, and they called it the Great Material Continuum, where you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Basically, you do something for me and I'll do something for you. Kind of similar to that. I don't know if it's like that for the universe or not. But anyway, it says here, whatever you believe in, the process of asking and receiving, it's the same. But it's not enough to just ask. You have to keep following the steps to reap the full benefits. So their first step when you're asking the universe for something is be sure and be precise. And the writer of the article says, one of the main traps that people fall into when they ask the universe for something is they're not 100% sure what they want and why. So for example, if you just say that you want to be rich, what does that mean? Is it a certain money amount in your bank account? Is it a certain salary? Is it a number of holidays that you're going to go on? Is it being able to afford that sports car or raise a couple of kids without having to worry about money? What does it mean to you? So it says to let your feelings guide you in deciding what exactly it is that you want. If you don't get a powerful desire erupting within you when you visualize your request, then it's not the right request to make. And he says, I can ask to win the lottery, but I don't really understand for sure how that would make my life better. Or I can ask to be free from the stress of money, however that manifests, because I know that's all I really desire. So you have to be precise. You have to be narrowing it down, pinpoint precision. You can't just say, oh, I want to win the lottery. You have to say what that means to you. So step 2 is to ask and let it go. It says, simply put in your request to the universe and then get on with your day. And the writer of the article says, think of it like writing a letter. Until you finish writing it, you can't put it in an envelope, stick a stamp on it, and put it in the mailbox. And until you put it in the mail, it can't reach its intended recipient. And until it reaches that recipient, they cannot send a reply. So ask for what you want and let it go. You have to relax. You have to put it out of your mind because you're seeking a response from outside of you. So there's no point in dwelling on it. So ask, let it go. Let it go. Sorry, I won't sing, guys. Girls out there. No, I'm not going to do it. Okay, so step 3 is be patient. Change rarely happens in an instant. It's typically a gradual process that has to follow its own path. So therefore, being impatient with the universe or even getting angry serves no purpose other than to making you miserable yourself. So depending on what request you've made, the end goal you have in mind might take days or it might take years to reach. So yeah, things are not instant. It's not Mr. Noodles. It's not going to happen right away. So it might, but it might not. And so number 4 tells you to watch for signs, because when the universe responds, it won't always be obvious. You have to keep your eyes peeled for little signs here and there that guide you to where you want to be. So if you wish for a new job and have asked the universe to help you find one, be acutely aware of any potential opportunities that arise. Maybe you get speaking to someone at a party who works for a company you'd love to work for. Ask them if there's any jobs available. That's a sign right there. It says you should also be mindful of any thoughts or memories that appear randomly when you least expect them. These can often be important signs that you need to look at more closely. Hence, they didn't say it here in the article, but I'm going to say dreams. Dreams are always giving you signs too. So it says, when you're watching for these signs, you need to release any thoughts that might hold you back from taking action. After all, even with a map in hand, until you're willing to take the first step, you won't go anywhere. So yeah, that is quite true. Watch for the signs. And then that brings us to step 5 that says, trust that the universe knows best. A crucial step that's often overlooked by people is trusting the universe to do right by you, even if it doesn't seem that way on the surface. The biggest problem with asking the universe for things is that you can't know for sure exactly what's best for you. And so I was reading that earlier before I started recording. I'm like, what? Okay, I know that the universe knows best. It's obviously going to do that because according to Zen Buddhism, anything that happens to me is the best possible thing that can happen to me. And I've always loved that quote. It just means whatever circumstance you find yourself in, that's where you're supposed to be. So is that true? Who knows? I'm not full of woo-woo and I don't know all the things, but maybe. So it says, even something as simple as wanting to be free from money worries is not necessarily what will bring you the most joy, satisfaction, and contentment. If you have to struggle to make ends meet throughout your entire life, it may be the universe's way of giving you a deep and fulfilling appreciation of all the little things that there are in life. So if you're suddenly able to buy everything you need comfortably, you may find that you're no longer as grateful for things such as ice cream or beach days or when you can treat yourself once or twice. So while you can and should ask the universe for things, you should know that the signs you follow may in fact lead you somewhere else entirely, but that this could be where you wanted to end up in the first place, but you just didn't know it. So trust the universe. It knows the best way to work things out. And I've always said this, the more you struggle and try to make things fit your own mold of the way things should be, the less they work out for you. And I found that throughout my entire life. The more I try to fit what I want into a box, the more that box just falls apart and breaks, and I get frustrated and, just be like a river and flow where it goes. That's, I think, the best thing. Now, their number 6 step is send reminders now and again. And it says I put this step in here primarily for requests to the universe that ask for help in solving problems, but I guess it has its place in any circumstances. It says you can ask for help and your unconsciousness will attempt to provide the answers, but it might not have them straight away. Being patient is important. And he says, I believe that reaffirming the request every so often can help. And it's especially true if you believe that the unconscious mind plays a role in bringing you the answers. By reminding yourself of your request, you send a signal to your unconscious to keep searching. And repeating your request can also have the side effect of reminding you to be vigilant when looking for the signs and signals that will lead you to which you seek. So yeah, there you go. So be patient, but also remind the universe and remind yourself that you're looking for these answers or requests or whatever it is you asked for. And then, of course, number 7 is very important. Be thankful. So when you're given the things you ask for, be thankful for them and show your gratitude in your actions. And don't forget to give thanks for everything else you have, whether you asked for it or not. So that's always good advice. It's always a good idea to be grateful, to say thank you, to be appreciative of what you got. And I believe in the early days of this podcast, somewhere in the episodes of the 30s, not the 1930s, of course, but like 30 odd episodes in, I think I did something called Gratitude and Gratefulness.
Episode 17, Gratitude and Gratefulness, October 4th, 2017.
I didn't look that up before I recorded this. I can't remember all that stuff. I don't remember what the episode number is. But if you go to soulforgepodcast.com, you can see our entire archive list of 209 episodes, and there are a lot of different topics. Speaking of topics, that's this week's topic, Ask and You Shall Receive. So was this good advice? I certainly hope so, because things are slowly falling into place for me. It's taken 30 years to get a store of my own, and it's going to take a little bit longer, so I'm being as patient as I can. I just want to get in there and open up the shop and put up the sign and have a cash box ready and start selling all the things to all the people. However, that's not going to happen for a while, so in the meantime, we've got the Etsy shop, we've got people just coming out of thin air and bringing me things. Yeah, so it's pretty great. What did I pick up today on the Facebook Marketplace buy and sell auction thingy? I picked up some Shopkins and I picked up some My Little Ponies because I figured it was important to have girl toys in the store other than just the boy toys that I know very well. So there you go. That's what's going on. rustedrobottoys.etsy.com. Check it out. Check out soulforgepodcast.com. Send us emails, soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. What else can I tell you? I think that's basically it. If you'd like to support the show, you can by going to coffee.com/rustedsoul. That's www.ko-fi.com/rustedsoul. And you can support us for as little as $3. It's kind of like you're sending a coffee. That's the whole idea behind coffee.com. We'll just send this podcaster that I like a coffee, and that'll help his hosting fees, actually, which just came out of my bank account last week. It was, $134 for the hosting fee for the year from podbean.com. So that's a thing that I just had to pay. What else? I think that's it. Is there any other news? I'm just looking around the room here. It's a disaster. I've got shipping boxes, I've got tape, and I've got scissors, and I've got styrofoam peanuts and bubble wrap and all kinds of things. I've got products all over the spare bed in the basement here. It's a lot. I need a warehouse. I need a store. I need something. Anyway, that'll all come in good time. I know where I want to go. I know what I want. I know what I need. And, the Kickstarter's almost over. Let's see. Let me just pull that up here real quick. And according to my handy-dandy app, now, this is coming out on Thursday. This is Tuesday evening as I'm recording this, and there's 4 days to go. So when this podcast comes out, there'll be 2 days to go on my 30-day campaign for $10,000 to help me fund the project. I'm at $904. I don't think I'm going to get 10 grand, so I'm not going to get anything. But that's okay. It was an experiment. I learned how to do a Kickstarter. Maybe I'll do a GoFundMe the next time to see if that'll be any different. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying the Etsy thing for now. Everything's falling into place because I asked the universe for help, and there you go. That's what's happening. So Anyway, thanks for listening to my rambles. I hope asking and shall receiving was a good topic for you. If you want me to cover any of those Ed 209 topics like extra dimensions or whatever else, I can do that. Just send me an email, soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. But until next time, thanks for listening. Take care of yourself. And remember, we are not in control of what lessons others are here to learn. Thank you for listening to another episode of the SoulForge Podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The SoulForge Podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
That's the rumor.
Rumor? Well, you've made all these deals based on a rumor?
From a very reliable source.
Well, what if it turns out not to be true?
You have to have faith, Chief.
In a rumor?
No, in the great material continuum.
Who are they?
It's not a they. It's the force that binds the universe together.
I must have missed that class in engineering school.
On Ferenginar, we learn about the continuum while we still have our first set of ears.
This is no time for Ferengi fairy tales.
The continuum is real. You see, there are millions upon millions of worlds in the universe. Each one filled with too much of one thing and not enough of another. And the great continuum flows through them all like a mighty river, from have to want and back again. And if we navigate the continuum with skill and grace, our ship will be filled with everything our hearts desire.
Yeah, right now, I'd settle for a stabilizer on the captain's desk.
The river will provide.
Huh? It doesn't sink us first.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping for the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.